Okay, so let's throw this Hakimi thing up on the screen and have a conversation about this absolute weapon of a footballer. It's such a
Oh,
good story.
That's so golden.
So, wife seeks half fortune, discovers he owns nothing. So, let's just read through this. Footballer Hakimi's world was rocked as his wife, Hebe, this is his wife over here, she's cute, filed for divorce and demanded half his property, several media reports. However, in a surprising turn of events, a court informed her that her millionaire husband legally owns nothing, as all of his assets are registered under his mother's name. Hakimi knows that these hoes ain't loyal.
No.
Hakimi, the Moroccan international PSG player, received a staggering $1 million per month, but 80% of this amount is deposited to his mother, Miss Fatima's account. The 24-year-old football star appears to have no property, houses, jewelry, or even clothes registered. I didn't even know that you could register clothes.
I thought that was weird too.
The couple began dating in 2018 when Hakimi was only 19 and Abouk was 30. Hang on, his wife is 31? Dude, he was 19 and she was 31 when he married her?
She has resting bitch face too.
Holy smokes. Okay, so that's no wonder I bet his mom had a conversation with him, was like, you're not marrying this chick unless you put everything under my name. I know what she's all about. 31-year-old going for a 19-year-old footballer world. Okay. As they head towards separation, Abouk, now 36, anticipated receiving an equal share of Hakimi's $70 million fortune. However, documents reveal all of the assets are registered under his mother's name, leaving Abouk with no legal claim. I can't believe he was 19 and she was 31. In an unusual arrangement, whenever Hakimi needed something, he requested it from his mom, who then purchased it for him. This dynamic is allowed to avoid any registration of assets in his own name. The divorce proceeding came on the heels of an investigation launched last month into allegations the star defender molested a woman he had invited to his matrimonial home while his wife and family were in Dubai. As the story unfolds, questions arise about the motivation behind Hakimi's choice to keep all his assets under. I can tell you what the motivation is, dude. It's very clear to me: to protect his assets. Yeah. Now, there is a problem with that, which they don't talk about in here. And this, I don't know if this falls under Dubai law, Moroccan law, but there's going to be some family, like this will fall under the jurisdiction of some family law somewhere in the world. So here in Canada, they've got this notion of fraudulent conveyance, right? And for those of you that don't know what that means, all that means is that you can't go and fraudulently move assets around, hide assets from like a bankruptcy proceeding, or to hide it from a refinance, from creditors, from family law. Like, you can't just go and put all your assets in your mom's name 3 months before you go and file for divorce. Now, if you did it 3 years prior, or you did it before the wedding, that's probably a little more watertight, right? But here anyway, it's about 2 years. So if you go and, for example, move the title of your home into your wife's name or your kid's name or something like that, and you go and rack up $1 million worth of credit card debt, and you go file for bankruptcy 6 months later, the courts will turn back the clock on the transfer of that asset, and the asset goes back into your name so the creditors can liquidate it to pay off the debts if it's very, very close to the date. But I think in a situation like this, because he did it before he got married and his mom told him to put everything in her name before they got married, dude is probably pretty safe. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. This guy's a G right there.
Although, devil's advocate, what if it's something like he's a real mama's boy and he didn't even know any better? Like, he started making all that money super young, and she's like, "Hey, I'll just take care of it, and you focus on."
Mom's a G then. Either way, somebody's getting credit.
Somebody took care of that issue. Somebody saw what's coming.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind my mom managing my finances. She's done a good job with hers. Just don't have to think about it, or anything happens to me, anything crazy down here, I have it all going to my sister. Because
the problem with that, though, is if you go and put all of your assets into your mom's name, for example, and she's elderly, she could have health issues. She could be hospitalized. She could get hit by a bus. You got to have mechanisms in place so that her estate, which is basically your estate, ends up sort of moving back into your pocket through some tax-free mechanism, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway.
Something interesting in that article too, and we see this a lot, and I think you kind of skirted over it. Was the case? What was it like? The case was launched in response to a woman claiming that she was invited to his house and then he molested her. I always wonder, like these professional soccer stars, who are these girls that are getting invited over but don't want anything to move forward, and they're like, oh, he molested me, because I don't see that. I don't hang out necessarily with famous people, but I've played sports through college, and I have family members that have done really well, like all state, all American type stuff. And they just have hordes of whores after them at all times. For the little baseball team I played for down here, I had like groupies follow me on the road. So who are these girls that are claiming molestation from a guy who's making €1 million a month? I'm assuming he's pretty good. That's a decent payday for him.
You've got to be like, when you get to a certain level, you've got to be careful with women. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete, an influencer, or an actor. I think Keanu Reeves, there's a few actors that are famous for this. Whenever there's they're asked to pose in a photograph, they don't even touch the other person. They're just sort of like hovering, like the arms sort of hovering around them, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be really careful. I mean, you get DMs from girls that express interest in you. I wouldn't even get involved. Have your inner circle that you trust, like whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, if you're a guy that runs, a little bit of a harem, there's a couple of girls that you trust, women that have proven themselves, they get access to. Everybody else, you got to be careful with, man. You can't fall for any of that bullshit.
Yeah, when I used to bounce in my old bouncing days, like what would usually happen is that the person I was performing is that they get one of their guys to come and they'd put the cell phone on the stage in front of the chick, and she'd just take the phone, put in her number, and then it wouldn't be tied back to the actual performer, to the guy that was performing on stage. So interesting. Even back when, so obviously I'm from Canada, but even back when Prince Harry was in his Chad days, in Calgary, because they were actually doing training just outside of Calgary, and they would come into Cowboys or whatever, and then they would have a bunch of people that would come back to them to wherever they were staying, and then they would take all their cell phones. It would make them sign some shit, and so then, just nothing would ever come out because there was no evidence about anything coming out.
Turns out it looks like Hakimi lives in Paris, so that's probably where the jurisdiction will fall. So I don't know what French family law states, but I guess we'll find out in the coming months as that unravels. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.